Hey guys, today we're going to go over what we learned last class. We're going to do a little review. So can anybody tell me around what date the Greek theater began? Katie?
It was about 700 BC.
That's right. And does anybody remember any of the popular playwrights? Yeah, Katie?
Like Aristophanes
Right.
and
Euripides, is that one? Am I making that up?
Well, there's some, here, I'll give you some
Aeschylus.
reminders of some plays that we talked about, like Medea, right?
right.
And
If you
Oedipus.
think of the plays, there's like the Frogs and Antigone and Medea
Oh,
and
who wrote those?
Aristophanes wrote the Frogs. I know that one.
Right.
Euripides.
Euripides. That's
I
what
was
it
going to
is.
say Eurydice and I knew that wasn't
That's
right.
not right.
Yeah,
The Bacchae.
the Bacchae is definitely,
Dionysus wrote that one.
Dionysus did not write any plays.
Dionysus was God. Crazy.
He was the god who they
Class
honored
clown.
with all the
The Bacchanals. The Baccas.
The
their
Bacchae.
festivals
Yeah.
and wine
Right, let's move on.
and lust.
Now, how were the classes split up? Does anybody remember?
Sophocles wrote one.
Right, we moved on a little bit.
Okay, I just remembered.
Okay, but, so how were the classes? So like if you were rich and you were in Greece, where did you sit? Versus if you were poor?
Closer to the front.
No, there wasn't any class
Yeah, there was no
Any
class separation.
separation, except for who? Who had special seats?
The priests.
The priests, that's right. Who can tell me about the difference between comedy and tragedy?
Corinne.
Comedies end with a marriage, or is that just Shakespeare?
That's mostly Shakespeare, but keep going.
And then tragedies end with a lot of people dying.
That's a pretty good definition. Does anybody else want to add on?
Typically tragedies centered around like famous people, or God, like heroes and that sort of thing, and then would show their downfall as opposed to like comedies which would center around like peasants and that sort of thing for a lot of them.
And can you name any famous tragedies or famous comedies from Greek theater?
Oedipus.
Oedipus is
Is a
definitely a
tragedy.
famous
Medea.
tragedy,
That's-
and that is a
Tragedy.
correct.
Antigone is a tragedy. The
Right.
Frogs is a comedy.
Very nice. Anybody else want to throw any in there?
I do not think of
All right.
Make sure we speak up just to be safe.
So, can anybody tell me about City Dionysia? Patrick?
It was a yearly festival where people would come together and stay there for like a week, right? Was it a week?
It was about as long, yeah.
And there was a playwriting competition. Not playwriting, but they would write and perform the plays. There'd be 3 tragedies
Right.
and 1 satyr.
Exactly.
And the way it
And
was...
wait, can you remind the class what a satyr play is?
is it farcical?
It
It's
is.
farcical. In the way that it was voted on, there was like a panel of judges, kind of. There was like a main guy, I don't remember his name, or like what he was
Okay.
called. And they would like basically pick names out of a hat.
Well, they would vote and put their names into a stomach of a dead animal.
Right.
Right.
Classic.
And then one person would
With that
pick one
guy I
out.
was just talking about.
Would pick one out, and that's how they would choose who won. So it wasn't necessarily who was best. So what is something identifiable about actors in ancient Greece?
They were all dudes.
They were all dudes. That is true.
And
What did they wear? Something
they
physical.
wore big masks
Right.
to separate themselves from the audience. And a
But
lot
if they had masks, how could we hear them?
well, they had things built in. They had like a funnel-shaped thing built into the mouth so that it projected the sound.
Absolutely. All right, and can you guys talk about the setup of the theater, how it was different than theaters that we see today?
It was an outdoor amphitheater, typically made of like stone, which sounds horribly uncomfortable to sit on for a week. Gonna be real. But yeah, it was built like that, and the stage was sort of raked, and there was nothing behind it. It would just be like the ocean or the rest of Greece and that sort of thing.
Awesome.
It it was outside because they had no electronic lights.
That's true. So what time did they usually perform, do you think?
During
During
the
the
day.
Day. Because otherwise you wouldn't see anybody and that would be confusing, wouldn't it?
Would be.
Alright, so now that we've kind of refreshed ourselves about Greek theater, we are going to make a skit. So I'll split you all up into groups. You four will be in a group together. And what I would like for you to do is make a 5-minute skit about Greek theater. And that's the only rule. It's got to be about Greek theater and also appropriate.
Like, are we making like a tragedy or comedy, or just in general anything about?
You can
Greek theater?
choose. You can choose tragedy,
I have
comedy.
an idea. Let's make masks with
Awesome.
awesome mouths.
Alright, I'll give you guys some time to brainstorm.
Okay.
Let's go.